Where's the big money in sports? Is it playing the sport or is it retiring from the sport? We'll take a look. Danny, are you going to make any money playing a sport, or are you going to make it all when you leave the sport?
Matthew, when I played sports, there was no money.
Not in men's college tennis. Take a look at we had the Super Bowl. Everybody, worldwide event, 148 countries beamed it in live. Peyton Manning wins the Super Bowl, and now he wants to retire, not retire. Is it for the money? Is it for the pride?
Well, I think he has a great deal of pride as a player, but I think his career is over, and I think he's planning for what to do after. Many of the players become sports announcers, but I think he's trying to franchise himself.
Peyton is already a franchise. The Mannings are a franchise. His brother plays for your beloved New York Giants. But do we believe Peyton Manning? I mean, there's been the scandal. His wife was getting a certain kind of drugs at the house. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't. There's also a scandal involving a lawsuit where he did something inappropriate when he was in a college locker room many years ago. Do we believe in the franchise of Peyton Manning, or is it just all kind of for the money?
I think we want to make the sports players heroes, and I think that when they retire, we want them to continue to be heroes. Look at Kobe Bryant. Kobe's playing his last season for the Los Angeles Lakers. Big deal. He started in the All-Star game, but again, everyone wants to see what's he going to do after he stops playing.
But Kobe's a good example. NBA, All-Star game, big audience, terrible player this year. Didn't deserve to be an All-Star except for maybe sentimental reasons. But is he doing it for the franchise of Kobe Bryant, or is he doing it because of the love of the game?
I think mostly for the franchise at this point. We look at former NBA players. Michael Jordan is the owner of the Charlotte Hornets.
Needless to say, have never won.
He's
won more games in his life than they've won as a franchise,
He has
right?
not done well as an owner, nor as a general manager with Washington. But you look, for example, at Magic Johnson, who's become an enormously successful entrepreneur.
But I think you're kidding yourself if you make out that all ex-athletes are successful businessmen. Aren't most living as broken men with concussions? There's a new movie out about the concussion syndrome of NFL players. Isn't the reality that these guys are chewed up by the system rather than winners of the system?
I think it depends, Matthew, on the sport. If you look at golf, if you look at Gary Player, you look at Arnold Palmer, you look at Jack Nicklaus, they've all been extremely successful businessmen. It may be because of companies like IMG have taken care of them. They design golf courses, but I think it really depends on the sport.
Do they really design golf courses? Are they going around with shovels or say this will put the fifth tee over here, or are they just the name behind professionals?
But the name lasts. That's what I'm saying. Professional football players, baseball players don't last perhaps as long as golfers or other athletes.
But is Tiger Woods, his money came from playing the sport, or does it come from endorsements? Where does the money?
I think a lot of money comes from endorsements. You look at Maria Sharapova, most of her money comes from endorsements, certainly more than she gets from playing. Again, it depends on the sports. You take a good baseball player, can earn up to $30 million a year. That's a lot of money in other sports.
That's a huge amount of money. I think that would be a record in nearly every sport except maybe American baseball. But I don't know that it translates. I would argue it doesn't translate between performance on the field and success as a pitchman. What Peyton Manning's dream? Does he want to be senator from Indiana? Does he want to be governor of Ohio? Does he want to be in the broadcast booth? What's his dream?
I think for the moment he'll be in the broadcast booth. Maybe he wants to be a manager and a coach. There have not been many great players who become great coaches. You look now at the coach of the San Francisco Warriors basketball. Steve Kerr was not a great player. Phil Jackson has the most rings.
Wait a minute. Kerr, you say he has about 4 or 5 rings,
He
right?
has 5 rings, but he was never a great starter. Okay. He was a shooter. Phil Jackson was not a great player. He has the most rings of any coach.
But so in summing it up, do I want to be a great player? As Reggie Jackson said, do I want to be a workhorse or a show horse?
I think, Matthew, you just want to make money, whether as a player or from endorsements. Doesn't really matter.
But is the system set up for a couple of athletes just to make the money and the rest to be thrown out and discarded by a cynical system?
I think the system is cynical, and certainly with the former football players who were injured, many of them have died really penniless.
and no pension, nothing from the league. That's all the time we have today on Money in Sports. I'm your host, Matthew Stevenson, and with me is
Danny Warner.
and we'll see you next week.